Hello, my hard-working student, and welcome back to one of my videos. This is your online tutor Roxana, and today we are back with another video about how to factorize simple expressions. Most of my videos are designed for pupils who have lower abilities or they are visual learners, so they need to see things broken down into steps and visually explained. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Let's just look at some examples and then you're going to have your own practice work to do. The first thing we're going to look at here is, okay, so let me give you an example of expanding brackets first, okay? 2 and a plus 3. Now I want you to look at what happens here so you can understand, because factorizing something like this is exactly opposite of expanding a bracket. So this is what it's going to look like when you factorize this. So if you have 2 and you have a plus 3, to expand this bracket you would do 2 times a plus 2 times 3. If you don't know how to expand brackets, I do have a video on that. Actually, I have several on how to expand simple brackets, double brackets, and even 3 brackets. So just go and check them out if you want to learn those as well. Okay, so here, hold on, I want to write this 6 as 2 times 3 just so you can see what happens to the 2. So basically here, you had the 2 multiplied by every single one of the numbers in the bracket, right? Because that's how we expand brackets. So it's 2 times a and 2 times 3. So that's what we have to find here. Let's think about 4x. How can we write 4x in terms of multiplication? We can write it as 2 times x. Okay, I'm going to put the plus, which is this one, and then how can I write the 6? The 6, I can write it as 2 times 3. Okay, you don't actually have to do this every single time, but this is basically the longer version of the explanation where you understand where everything comes from. Okay, so this is my first number and this is my second number. And factorizing means you put in front of the bracket the number that is repeating here and here as well. So basically, we have the 2, because the 2, we can take this one, for example. So we're going to put this in front of the bracket, and inside the bracket, we're going to put whatever is left, okay? Because if you do 2 divided by 2, this is going to become a 1, and this is going to become a 1, and when you multiply 1 by everything from here, it's going to just have only these numbers left. So 2, and this has 2x left, plus, and here you have the 3 left. Okay, so basically that's how you expand this bracket. Let's have a look here. How can we write 15x? 15x, you can write it as 3 times 5 times x, plus, and the second number we can write it as, maybe you want to look at some of these numbers to get an idea. Can I write it as 3 times something? No. Can I write it as 5 times something? Oh yeah, that would work. So I can write it as 5 times 4. Yeah, so you have to look at these terms and see which one of them you can use here. Okay, so I am going to circle the 5 because that's the one I'm going to put in front of the bracket. And now in the bracket, I'm going to put this, whatever is left here after I divide it by 5. So it's 3x plus, and here I have a 4 left. Okay, 3x plus 4. That's it. Okay, let's see here. 9, I can write it as 3 times 3 times y, minus, and 12, I can write it as 3 times 4. Yeah. And obviously I see there's a 3 repeating, so I'm going to put the 3 in front of the bracket, and I have a 3y here, minus, and a 4 here. Okay, there you go. And I'll do one more here. What do we have here? This one can't be written as anything but 5 times x. And here you have to think about anything that uses this number. So it's 5 times 3. So obviously the common factor here is 5. And inside the bracket you put whatever you're left after you divide by 5. So you have x here, and you have plus, and you have 3. Okay, that's it. Right, let's look here again. This one, as you can see, they both end in 5. It means they're both factors of 5. So 25 is 5 times 5 times y, because I need to use the y as well, minus, and 35, because I only have 5s here, I need to write this in terms of 5 times what? So it's 5 times 7 times z. Okay, and I need to divide by 5. I get the 5 in front of the bracket, and here I have 5y left minus 7z. Okay, there we go. And let's see, I'm going to skip all of this. I'm just going to look at this one. This looks like the more difficult one. Okay, so what do we do here? 42 is 6 times 7 times y, plus, and 28 is 7 times 4 times x, minus, and 56 is 7 times 8 times c. Okay, so I have a 7 here, I have a 7 here, and I have a 7 here, and I'm gonna put it in front of the bracket. Then I have 6y plus 4x minus, because I have the minus from here, and then 8 times c is 8c. Okay, so that's how you factorize it there. Your first activity it's here. It's broken down into steps, so just pause the video and try to do your best to factorize everything you see there. And we're gonna go through it together after that. Okay, and now let's have a look at this. So they already mentioned that you have to factorize a 3. Okay, and if you want to find out what's left when you factorize a 3, basically you take each one of these numbers and you divide it by 3. So that's what they did here. Yeah, they did 6a divided by 3. If you divide the 6 by 3, you get a 2. And they wrote it here, okay, and the a is just left like that. So they divide the 6 by 3, and they got the 2a. Plus, and if you divide a 15 by 3, you get a 5. Okay, so that's what it goes in that box, 5. Here they said they're gonna factorize 8. You have to divide this by 8 and this one. Okay, so 48b divided by 8 is obviously something with b, and is 6b minus, and if you divide 40 by 8 you get 5. Okay, so it's 6b minus 5. And in here they factorized the x because only x is repeating on both numbers. So if you divide this by x, you're left with an x, and you plus it, and here if you divide 6x divided by x, see, x divided by x gives you 1, so you're left with a 6. Okay, here you had 3 x's factorized, so if you divide this by 3x, you're gonna be left with the y. Okay, if you divide this by 3, so y is here, plus if you divide this by 3x, this divide by 3, and this divide by x. So 15 is gonna turn into 5. X divided by x is 1, and you're left with this z. Okay, 5z. Here you have 6m squared minus m. Obviously, the only thing repeating here is the m. And then you have 6m minus, and you divide m by m, you're left with what? You're left with 1. Okay, so that's how you do it. I'm just gonna quickly give you the answers for the rest of it. So these are the answers for the rest of those numbers. I hope this makes sense. So mark the work and let's move on to the next activity after this. Okay, so next activity is this one. Basically, now you have the whole freedom to factorize by whatever you like. Okay, so pause this and spend a few good minutes. This should take you like 15 to 20 minutes to do in your book. Just make sure you number them so you know which question goes with which answer when you mark the answers after that. Okay, so pause the video and get to work. Okay, and before I show you the answers, what should I do? Okay, I'll do this question here, and I'm gonna do this question here just because they start easy and they get harder and harder. So probably the more difficult ones are gonna be the ones in the last row, okay? So here you look at these two numbers and you see, you have to write them as a product of factors. So that one is 6 times 6 times a, I'm just going to write ABC because I don't have space, but it's obviously times A times B times C. And this one I can write it as, all right, hold on. So if you look at these two numbers, the common number is actually a 4. So you could write this as 6 times 6, but you can also write it as 4 times 9. Okay, so that's the one I need actually. 4 times 9 times ABC, okay? And here I can write this as 4 times 4 times b squared. And obviously what's repeating here is the 4 and the b, okay? A 4 and the b. So when I factorize this, I'm going to write it as 4b, and then if I divide this by 4, I have a 9. Hold on, so you can look here. See, I have the 9 left, I have the a, and I have the c, minus, and here I have the 4, and I have a b. Because b squared divided by b gives you a b. So this is 4b. Okay, so that's how you do this one in particular. Now let's have a look at this one. Now as I look at these two numbers, I can clearly see they're both in the 7 times table. If you can't see that, you can write them as a product of primes. Okay, you can write as product of factors, but by the time you got here, you probably have done all of this, and now you don't actually need to start the way we did in the beginning. Okay, so you don't need to do the way we did the first one. You would probably have already like your own way of working out, and you could clearly see how this works, and you can say, okay, well, I can clearly see these two are both in the 7 times table. So this is 7 times 9 times a squared, and this is 7 times 5 times a times b. Okay, and obviously the 7 is repeating and the a, but here you're gonna be left with 1a because you have 2 of them times together. So I'm just gonna cross the power, yeah, because you're gonna have only 1 left. So here you cross this out, and because you're gonna divide by a, you're not gonna have any a left here. So 7a, and in the bracket you're gonna have a 9a minus, and then you're gonna have a 5 left from here, and the b. Okay, so I hope you understood and it makes sense. So now let me give you the actual answers. Here we go. So these are the answers. You can mark them, and if you manage to do 3/4 of these or more, then it means you understand this topic. If you don't understand this topic, maybe you should also look at other videos on YouTube, because every single person has their own method and their own style, even if they're in different countries. This topic is taught differently in different countries, so maybe you understand better from other videos. Maybe you find a method that makes more sense to you. Okay, so that's my advice so far, and thank you for sticking until the end, and I hope you've done this right, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Okay, bye for now.